as I grew older, I realized I really love playing more obscure games. There's something so interesting about playing something that when you ask if people heard about it, they'll just go, what? And today's topic is somewhat that, though I would argue it's not that obscure. Voodoo wins. Voodoo wins was one of Xbox's answers to having more platformers on the system. Sony and Nintendo already had several platforming IPs, and Microsoft knew they had to have some as well. Starting with Blinks in 2002. I never played Blinks, but I always want to play it, especially because of the amazing design of Blinks himself. One day I'll give both the games a try. But 1 year after Blinks was out, they released Voodoo Wins. Now, the game was received well, but it didn't really stick as much as compared to the competition at the time, which I do think is a shame because this is a pretty unique game, especially in the platformer genre. But without wasting more time, let's get into the video.
Okay.
The first thing you'll see in this game is this 3D intro with the logo of the game. And from here we have this really neat menu that goes around the shop. But for now there's not much to do other than to start a new game. The game's story opens up with a couple of men trying to rob a magic shop. Then suddenly they touch an artifact with a lot of power. The owner of the shop, Madame Charmaine, warns the intruders of the dark powers that is a zombie dust, but she gets knocked out and both her and the dust gets taken away. But in the middle of all that, our protagonist Vince becomes alive. Walking out of the shop, he meets the main bad guy of this game called Cosmo, who uses zombie dust to raise an army of monsters and cause chaos. And now it's up to Vince to stop his plans and save Charmaine. It's a very simple plot and not taken seriously at all. So how does the gameplay fare? Now, Vince controls wise is nothing special compared to other platformers. You can do a single jump, a double jump, do a 3-hit combo, headbutt to the ground and spin, all those 3 last ones being used against enemies. The combat is pretty simple, but I found it very effective as hitting enemies is just very satisfying. And the jump also feels pretty nice with a nice flow to it as to speak. Vince has exactly the type of weight you would expect from him just by looking at his size. He's not heavy at all and much lighter, but he is also just not a floating piece of paper. Controls were very responsive and it was really fun to play as. Though sometimes the game would just not detect me landing on a platform when I clearly was. It didn't happen too often, but it was still annoying regardless. You also do have a move where you can float down slowly, which was very helpful, especially when trying to land on some of these platforms. I do also really like the level themselves. The first few takes place downtown at night and the atmosphere here is just really good. And then there are the underground tunnels, which were pretty fun too. Then we are brought back to the surface in the graveyard levels, and these were great as well. We get to haunt the mansion later on, which was pretty cool, but then there is a swamp, and yeah, I didn't like this that much. Also the pirate ship, which was pretty fun. I did not like these levels that much. They were kind of just tedious and not fun to play through. But luckily the carnival levels after are pretty fun. The game also just looks really good for the time, and I still think it looks pretty nice to this day. The environments have a nice unique color palette that never gets dull. Everything is somewhat curly and twisted a bit. It does actually remind me a lot of Dr. Caligari, a film that was released over 100 years ago. Very ahead of its time for many reasons, but mostly in its visuals, where all the furniture and builds were bent in and in different shapes. This is overall a pretty solid looking game, and the remaster helps it even more. Now each level has a mission to do in order to progress, with some collectibles you can collect along the way. The missions can range from anything, from killing this huge piggy bank to just playing music with this jazz man.
Man, good thing I don't have a nose, cause you stink.
And you could have it all. My empire of dirt.
It gets pretty creative with the scenarios. Some levels have a hub area that will require you to collect certain items to help a character out with their problems. And in turn they will help you, but they usually don't help you in the end because of reasons.
Hey, we're not getting enough lift. We gotta lose some dead weight.
I really like a lot of the missions and levels, but sometimes I feel like they can be poorly explained. One of those being inside the sausage factory. Now on paper, this mission should be really funny. There are several cute animals around, and to create sausages, you'll have to have meat. So we use the animals to get that. It's really dark and gruesome, but it's hilarious. You have to turn all these levers to make the conveyor belts go to the grinder. It's a really funny concept, and it was fun until I just couldn't get the sausage. Every time it would spawn, it would just disappear. I did everything correctly, I saw the animals, and I got the sausage again, but when I tried collecting it, it was gone. I was just so confused on what to do. But after 20 annoying minutes, I realized what the problem was. So everything I did was right. However, there is this one conveyor belt that needs to be switched around when the last animal is sent to the grinder. And by doing this, so the sausage will be made, but pop on the belt and like before, not disappear. I can understand that the game didn't want to explain everything to the player and make them figure stuff out for themselves. And I can admit this part was a bit on me. But some of the bosses, I swear, are very poorly explained on how to defeat them. Now the boss in the game itself is fine. I think they're cool visually, and I like how you have to try to find unique ways to kill Vince so you can stop them. The skeleton dinosaur was a pretty cool first boss. I think the two-headed crocodile was also a fun boss. And the big tornado, while a bit clunky, was alright. The stone boss lady was pretty fun as well. I also just really liked riding on the rat. But see, these at least I could tell how to defeat them pretty easily, but the others, not so much. Like for example this robot doll. So you're in this miniature area with a town and mountains. It's a pretty cool setting for the fight, but I was struggling to find out exactly how to defeat the boss. There's no explanation given as to how to kill Vince in order to beat her. It took me 10 minutes before I realized it was a lever on top of the building, and pulling it will make two trains start and drive towards each other, where you have to stand in the middle of them to damage the boss. They really should have shown a small cutscene or have Charmaine point out the lever on the top. Once I figured out the rest though, the fight was pretty clear. But the worst one was definitely the final boss, or rather the first part of it. The rest of the boss is just a platforming challenge and a really cool one too, but the first part was stupid. Cosmo has this huge robot and tries to kill Vince by using his big feet. You also have a bumper car and there are targets on 3 sides. Now, I thought that maybe I need to drive the bumper car into targets, but nope. No matter how fast I went, nothing worked. Then I tried getting out and doing it with Vince, but nope. I was stuck on this part for 15 minutes without having a single clue how to defeat it. I saw you could run all these red buttons like these blockades, but I did not know what to do with them. So I had to look up online, and I have no clue how people could figure this out back in the day.
What? What? That's what you're supposed to do? Really?
Again, they don't explain this, and it's so frustrating. How am I supposed to know how to do this when you haven't even shown early examples of this or just a simple explanation? It's stuff like this that really dragged the game for me. It became more annoying than fun at times. The collectibles you get are in form of 3 items. The first are these blue flasks, which by collecting 100 will increase your health bar permanently. The purple cards will make the pink skeleton head spawn. You have to chase it down after finding it, which is, by the way, also really annoying.
Huh? No, come on, man, that's stupid.
But when you find it again, you will get an extra skeleton head on the right, increase the number of screen nukes you can do. And lastly are the purple skeleton totems, which will give Vince a new type of screen nuke. Now these screen nukes I'm talking about are actually the coolest part of the game. If you fill the bar enough, you can perform a move where every enemy nearby will die by whatever ways Vince dies from it. There's a good amount of this, and they're all really funny to watch, like seeing Vince get shot by gangsters or being shot by arrows. I also love how enemies get terrified when they do this, like they know they fucked up. They're like, oh shit, I'm not gonna be seeing my kids and wife again. And some of the ways on the enemies can die is really gruesome. There's that one that has Vince chopped up and enemies will get chopped up too, and it's kind of brutal. Like, I mean, I guess it makes sense for the T rating, but I was not expecting that. Now, while I love the concept of a voodoo doll killing himself to kill his enemies, I do think they could have done more with this idea. In the first level, you're shown a meat grinder where Vince can jump into, which kills all the enemies nearby. It's really cool, and I thought the game would have more of these sprinkled in levels, but it's only in this one level. There are no other interactable objects like these outside of the bosses. Voodoo Vince, like many other platformers at the time, had vehicle levels, and they're okay. The one you have to ride on the rocket is fine, kinda feels like driving the flying vehicle in Rayman 3, although not nearly as fun. There is also a boat you can drive, which is actually fun to use. You go so fast with this boat. It really makes the race later on with the chef pretty enjoyable. As much as I like driving the boat, it could still piss me off sometimes.
Oh, fuck you, game. Really? Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
But despite that though, the boat levels are pretty fun to play. The soundtrack is so nice on the ears, being jazzy and chill. Some of the tracks are more atmospheric, while others are more catchy and upbeat. And it all works so well, and it's so unique compared to other 3D platformers. I would highly recommend listening to the soundtrack, by far one of the best parts of the game. Now this game might have some weak spots here and there, but the soundtrack, that's its biggest strength. But another strong part of the game as well are the characters. They were all pretty memorable in their own way. I like Vince as a character because despite not being alive for long, he is already just tired of all the stuff the game throws at him.
Okay, I get it. 2 heads. Could this get any worse?
He also had some pretty funny lines, with this one being my favorite.
I need to aim for a hole. A hole.
But also for every funny line he gets, he also gets one that's just not funny.
It's going to get windy.
Can't imagine anything windier than you.
But the game definitely has more good jokes than bad jokes, so I found Cosmo a decently funny antagonist. Both him and his henchmen had some really funny lines as well.
Boss, where's the pickles?
What? How are you? What are you doing in my evil vision?
I'm just making a sandwich.
For crying out loud! Be gone, minion!
And the other NPCs you meet in levels are fun as well. Now the only thing to do now is to wrap up the story, so here we go. After beating Cosmo and his goons, Vince flies on the rocket and has saved the day.
Hey! Yeah! Who rules? Me! Vince! Vince rules! Did I forget something? Oh, crap! Charmaine!
Getting back to Charmaine, and luckily she is fine, although not too happy.
You can get me out of the robot
Before you destroy it!
Cosmo tries to stop them, but Charmaine turns them into balloons and sends them flying away, leaving Vince and her finally being able to go home. And we also get this incredible credits theme.
And if you should slip, you're gonna take a voodoo fall. He's a hero who's just 10 inches tall.
The singer actually being Danny Shirago, who plays Hancock in Fallout 4. I find it kind of ironic how his voice is so smooth here, yet in Fallout 4 he plays a character that sounds like they've been punched in the throat. So that was Voodoo Wins, and after finally playing it for myself, I can safely say this is a good game, but it does have its fair share of issues. Some parts of the game isn't always explained well, the game's platformer can be a bit iffy, and I do wish it did more with the voodoo mechanic, but it also had great levels, good visuals, a great soundtrack, and fun cast of characters to boot. This game only costs $10 on Steam, and I'd say it's definitely worth it. This is a platformer that definitely deserves more attention, and maybe even possibly a sequel. I mean, who knows at this point? If KO the Kangaroo can come back, I think Voodoo Wins can come back. But I know one thing for sure, and that's to thank you all for watching this video and taking care.